Begin. We begin where the beginning was, with men and women and their relationships, and we'll go all the way back to the Garden of Eden. How about that?
I haven't been that far back.
I think not. I think we won't go quite back there because there's just far too much to unravel there and why that story came to be in the first place, and how much belief we're going to, how much meaning we're going to put in that, and what meaning we're going to put to it. But let's just say from the beginning it's been troublesome, would you not say? Mm-hmm. And none of us are experts, and we're all at all ages still scratching our heads trying to figure this out. And so these are some of my scratchings and some other people's scratchings tonight. Stuff gleaned from my own experience, stuff gleaned from the experts who've been studying relationships for many, many years. A lot of what I've gleaned here is from a man named John Gottman, who is in Seattle, and he's been studying relationships for I think about 30 years now, and he can sit down with a couple and within about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he can say whether they'll be able to stay together or not. And there's some key indicators of that. And the indicators are whether they have, first of all, whether there is they have any kind of mutual interest. They need to have at least 5 places where they overlap, where they have a mutual interest. And the second is that they be able and willing to heed one another. And listen and heed. Listening's one thing, heeding is another. To say, I hear what you're saying, and okay, it's no skin off my nose to do that thing that you asked me to do. And the other, and that's kind of listening, and then the other is the same fighting style, or being able to at least adapt to the other's fighting style. And it's okay, and it's interesting. It doesn't matter if 2 people are yellers and screamers, as long as both of them are. Or if 2 people shut down and don't want to talk about it, as long as both of them are that way. Or if 2 people want to talk it out, as long as both of them. But when you've got a yeller and a screamer or shutter downer, you got a problem. When you got, somebody wants to talk it out, somebody wants to scream it out, you got a problem. And so it's somebody's learning to adapt their style. It's easier if they start out with the same style, but if it's not there, then learning to adapt. And that's some of what we're talking about tonight, but mostly what we're looking at tonight is kind of how we're wired differently, really. And I'm going to give a caveat about all this in a second, how men and women, or people with left brains, people who are more left brain versus right brain people, are differently wired for communication and have different needs. And it's so simple, and you'll start to just go, wow, I can see why that relationship with spouse, co-worker, girlfriend, mother went south. And so I want to talk a little bit first of all about men, women, left brain, right brain. We have a continuum. There's maleness and there's femaleness, feminineness. There's left brainness, right brainness, right? And when I say left brain, right, I actually am sort of saying that men tend to be more left-brained, but that's not always true, because I've seen the reverse in couples, and women tend to be more right-brained. And that, of course, this is the generalizations, but we're going to look at a continuum along here, that we're all someplace along there, between the left brain, right brain, masculine, feminine wiring. There's some wiring that's absolute male-female, like the separation of the sides of the brain, and that's different for men and women. And I'll explain that as we go on. Well, I'll say a little bit more about it now. That men's brains, left brains, sort of are separate from the right brain. That accessing emotionality sometimes has to come by shutting down some logical thinking, whereas women are accessing it all simultaneously. I've seen some guy on there's some video I saw on YouTube of a guy who had the male brain, had 2 knobs or 1 knob, and the woman's brain had 1,000 knobs and switches all over it. Or there was the guy, yeah, there was the guy's brain that had little tiny. He had a picture of his brain, and he had little compartments, little tiny meat boxes, and the woman's looked like spaghetti, wires wrapped all the way around, going everywhere, and that's very true. And I think what I really think that you might hear tonight is that I'm not going to be beating up men tonight. In fact, hello, hi, come on in. We'll wait for you here. I'm not going to be beating men up. As a matter of fact, if I smack anybody's hands, it's probably women more than men. And maybe that's because I am a woman and feel like I can take more permission as a woman. But really, I'm forgiving toward us all. I mean, we're all bozos in this bus, learning the best we can, you know, from wherever we can. And we learn from our parents who knew so much about relationships.
Does that mean I can call her spaghetti head now?
You'll have to ask her.
Medusa.
So, we're going to begin. Wow. And so what we have here is just some basic pointers. You want your hand out here? Oh, yeah, sure. And some basic pointers and just some little brief lessons. And Alex and I are going to do little scenes. And that are going to demonstrate things. We'll ask you to sort of see what you think went wrong. And we'll just talk about the little lesson. Of course, it's written there, so you have a cheat sheet. And we'll just talk. So we might do some exercises, but because we're just kind of going to get off the hook a little bit tonight. And we'll talk about some of the things that you can do, okay?